Who are the ones who've got the bug?
Rhino, Little Willow, Gary Mills, and Luke Jones, Craig Armstrong. So they've got that. I think over the last couple of days we've obviously kept in contact with them, and a couple of them are feeling better, a little bit better today, but there's no point in having them in anyway, so you've got to manage that one. And obviously the other boys that are injured, they'll be doing their rehab as usual.
Any new injuries?
Well, we're worried about Pezza, because I'm going to have to rest him. I think that's the most important thing, is that he recovers from, last week was a big week for him, and he really put in some solid groundwork, didn't he? And a very reliable man, and so we'll manage him this week. We'll see how we go later on in the week, whether he'll be in for selection or not. Michael Brough, he won't train, certainly won't train. I thought he played very, very well at the weekend. You could see his maturity in that role. Jake Nix is back, which is good. Obviously he's doing his rehab with recovery, so it's nice to see the little man. That's all good. Heck, he took another blow to his rib late on in the game. I think we all saw that, but he wanted to carry on. So again, another one we'll have to treat lightly, but we want to maintain our standards and keep our training right.
You mentioned Kyle being back. I mean, how far are you looking?
No, I'm not even going down that road. It's really a case of wait and see. Let him recover properly. I think if you set targets at this early stage, and you get disappointments, and he's a good healer. However, with an injury like Kyle, you got to manage that, right? And I think it'd be silly to put a time on that one. But if we can get him back, February, I'll be delighted.
Is that perhaps one that's going to take a little bit longer?
Yeah, well, when you've had an operation, it could be 6 to 8 weeks of his rehab, and then you're looking at 4 or 5 weeks to get him fit. So, realistically, if you're looking middle of February, I'll be very pleased to get him back for then. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, we might have to go and get some horse stuff and rub it into his leg. It's a placenta, is it?
That's a placenta.
Yeah. So we might go and get a bit of that. Steve-O thought I meant pancetta.
You rub it in his face, he'll go out there quicker.
Gallop with a bit of hay in his mouth.
How's Spatey doing that?
Jake's waiting. Well, we've had the results, but we haven't had the full synopsis, if you like, of the result. We're waiting on that. We're hoping that we can manage it rather than having to go under the treatment, under the knife, and frustrating, because Jake was starting to perform very, very well for us and makes a big impact whether he starts or he comes off the bench, and he's a very good young player, and I think a lot of him, and he's shown his qualities. So it's a disappointment not having that other player available, but that's life.
Gary Mills obviously is off ill anyway, but is he likely to be in contention this weekend with his injury?
Well, his hamstring's better now. We managed that. That was just a few days where we had to rest it completely. But he's back. He's been back in contention. He's just not been in selection. That's a fair comment. I mean, Gary's, by his own admission, he wasn't as performing as he wanted to do, and that happens in players' lives. So we have to help him and be constructive and get him back on the training ground and working hard. But yeah, I mean, he's gone down with an illness in the last 2 days, and I've told him to stay away for. He's been to see his doctor, and it's one of them. He'll be frustrated as I am, but we've got to make sure we're getting back to full fitness, and then working hard and getting himself the confidence back into his game.
Now Tim Sanderkin's come back into the equation. Is Eddie going to go back, or does he stay on?
Well, it's faced with a bit of a dilemma, really, because I think and I know the rules of the game, and you can't have 6 lone players in a squad. So Tim's inclusion has obviously helped make sure that we can have other players available and make sure we have a goalkeeper on the bench. But Tim's come back sooner than we anticipated. He's only a young man. I think when you're younger you can recover a lot easier. And it might sound silly, but he's still growing. I know he's 6'4", and he's still developing his body, and I've been pleased with him in recent weeks. I think it took him a little time of making the transition from part-time football to full-time training and the demands of that, and certainly the demands of what we ask goalkeepers to do. But he's got a great role model in Alan Marriott, and I think he's learning all the time. So, it's very difficult when you do make that transition, especially for a young goalkeeper as such, because you're under the spotlight. But I've been very pleased with him in recent weeks, and I feel that he's training very hard, which is great, and it's nice to see. So, yeah, we'll have a look at that situation. But I mean, with Ed, it's a difficult one. Ed's been, he's been fine with us, and we've been delighted to have him here. But his parent club, certainly Grimsby, are looking at their situation with regards to keeping him on, and we'll see what happens.
Obviously, last weekend, second successive Saturday, you slipped up a few points to struggling sides, but really there's not much more you could do in that second half, was there? Apart from put the ball in the net.
Well, I mean, I think the fans recognised that, and I think they gave the boys a clap off, which is needed. I think when you, as a young manager or as any manager, you look at a game and you ask yourself, can you do any more? And other than score a bag full of goals on Saturday, we couldn't do any more. It was organised. We were strong. We had a great performance against Gateshead. I think you missed that one, John. But I understand where you're coming from regarding dropping points. But it doesn't matter whether it's a top game or an Oxford or an Ebbsfleet. To me, we want to win it and we want to be successful. But the performance on Saturday was certainly very, very pleasing, because we passed the ball, we kept it better. I think the inclusion of Hotchkiss and Burgess, two footballers, has benefited the side. I felt Louis played his part. He's still not up to full fitness yet, but he did very well, and he's growing all the time, so that's a good thing. It's a positive. He was out for 3-4 weeks, and I don't want to set him back. But Lee Morris went on and did fine as well. And another one that's got good legs and good experience. So there's good quality out there, and I felt it showed. I mean, the goalkeepers. I mean, it must be an incredible amount of stats that we've had against Grays in 2 games. It's incredible. But to be fair to Dixie, afterwards he said, Dave, he said, I don't know what to say, other than it's the most one-sided 0-0 draw I've ever seen. So, and I said to Julian afterwards, is that you can get the ump if you want as a manager. You haven't got them 3 points, but I was satisfied with the performance. Obviously, we could be a little bit more clinical in front of goal. But I think you do need a little bit of luck in life, and I thought they I don't know whether they earned it, but they got it, which is up to them. It's fine, no worries.
And this weekend, a bit of a break from all the pressures of the league and a competition. Realistically, you could go out there and go all the way and win. We
want to be successful. I've said that before. I know that people got the ump with the last manager here for saying he didn't really care about the cups. If that's correct, I do. I want to win every game, and none more so than a cup game. We have highlighted that fact, and I'll be picking an attacking side on Saturday. Obviously, given the injuries we have, we've got to make sure that we manage players. But I'll be picking as an attacking side as I can to do the job on Saturday against Tamworth.
Well, you go into cups like the FA Cup, obviously it's a good money spinner, but this realistically is something that you could finish up actually lifting the trophy.
Well, I went with Mr. Perry to Wembley, and I think I said before, I've never been jealous of anybody in life, never. But I was envious that day because I felt that having just beaten Stevenage on the last day of the season, we smashed them as well. We played very well that day. It was a very good day for this football club. I was envious because I would like to have had my side walking out at Wembley, and for our fans, it would have been for any fans, it's a wonderful occasion to go to the stadium. Certainly, the new stadium is a glorious venue, and a tinge with a hint of envy there, but you got to earn it, and we'll be looking to do that in every round if we can get through.